Welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever wondered what stops your favorite app from just completely crashing every 5 minutes? Well, it's not magic, that's for sure. It's a whole discipline. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the absolutely crucial and often invisible world of software testing. Think of it as the silent guardian of quality in our digital lives.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the basics. What is software testing? Then we'll look at a couple of the main ways testers approach their job. After that, we'll dive into the actual blueprint for making quality happen, dissect what we mean by a bug, and finally, we'll get inside the mind of a great tester. It's going to be fun. Let's get to it.
So first things first, before we can talk about all the cool ways to test, we have to be super clear on what testing actually is. Honestly, this is the bedrock. Everything else we talk about today is built right on top of this.
Now, this definition might sound a little formal, but the key thing to get is that it's not just about finding crashes. It's a process of validating. You're basically checking the software against its requirements, the promises that were made to the customer. The core question is always, does this thing do what it's supposed to do?
This is a great question, and I hear it all the time. It seems totally logical, right? The person who built it knows it inside and out. But here's the thing. Building something and trying to break it require two completely, and I mean completely, different ways of thinking.
And this slide just nails that difference. See, a developer's job is constructive. Their whole goal is to build something that works. A tester, on the other hand, their job is almost deconstructive. They come at it thinking, okay, how can I break this? What weird thing can I do that no one's thought of? It's like an architect who designs a beautiful building versus the safety inspector who comes in and tries to find every single potential fire hazard. You need both, but their mindsets are worlds apart.
All right, let's move on. Now we can see how that mindset leads to different ways we can test. Because, not all testing is the same. The approach you're going to take really depends on whether you need to see what's going on under the hood.
This is a classic distinction in testing. With black box testing, you're basically like a regular user. You've got the remote control to a TV, you press the volume button, and you check if the volume goes up. You have no clue what's happening with the circuits inside. But with white box testing, you've taken the back off the TV, you're looking right at the code, at the logic, at the little electronic pathways to make sure they're all sound.
And here's another really important split. Functional testing asks, what does the feature do? If I click the Add to Cart button, does it add the item to my cart? It's a pretty simple yes or no. Non-functional testing, though, asks how well does it do it? Is the app fast? Is my data secure? Is it actually easy and intuitive to use? You need both for a product to be great.
So with all these different angles and approaches, you can probably guess that good testing isn't just, random clicking. Not at all. It's a highly structured, super planned out process. And it all starts with a solid blueprint.
Just look at this pyramid here. It flows from the really big picture right down to the tiniest little details. You start way up top with the test plan. That's your master strategy. From there, you break it down into test scenarios, which are high-level things like test the entire user login experience. And finally, you get to the nitty-gritty, the test case. That's the super detailed step-by-step recipe. Step 1, enter valid username. Step 2, enter valid password. Expected result, user lands on the dashboard.
And that big document at the top, the test plan, it's not just thrown together by anyone. This is a serious strategic document. It's usually owned by a test manager or a test lead, the person responsible for the entire quality strategy for that project. Oh man, this is so important. You can have the best plan in the universe, but if the data you're using to test is garbage, you're not gonna find the real problems. You have to think about everything. What happens if I use good data? Bad data? What if I leave the field blank? Or type in a bunch of weird symbols? Covering all those possibilities is how you find the really sneaky defects.
So, what happens when you follow your plan, you use all that great data, and you find something? Boom! You've found a bug, or to use the professional term, a defect. But not all defects are created equal, and understanding how we categorize them is absolutely vital. Here's the official definition. A defect is basically any time the software zigs when you expected it to zag. It's a deviation from what you expected. Now, we all call them bugs in conversation, but the professional term you're going to see in all the reports and tracking systems is defect.
Okay, pay attention here because this is a super important distinction that people mix up all the time. Severity versus priority. Severity is all about the technical impact. How badly does this bug break the system? Is it a critical crash? Priority, on the other hand, is about business urgency. How fast do we need to fix this? So think about it like this. A typo in your company's logo on the homepage? That's probably low severity, it doesn't crash anything. But it could be a really high priority to fix because it looks awful. On the flip side, maybe a really obscure feature deep in the settings crashes the app. That's high severity. But if only one person in a million ever uses it, the priority to fix it might be low. See the difference?
And this brings us to what I think is maybe the most important section of all. You can have all the plans and processes in the world, but they're pretty much useless without the right person behind the keyboard. At the end of the day, testing is a human skill. It's a mindset.
This right here, this is the tester's mantra. It's not about being negative, it's about being creative and curious and ultimately protective. A great tester is always trying to solve a puzzle. They're driven by this deep desire to find the weaknesses before a real user stumbles upon them and has a bad day.
And the cool thing is, great testing is a craft that you can actually learn. It starts with being disciplined in how you design your tests. It means being really good at executing those tests and finding issues that actually matter. And over time, it means becoming a true subject matter expert. You know, the go-to person who knows the product inside and out better than anyone.
Which leads us, of course, to the million-dollar question. It's the question every single software team on the planet has to ask. You can't test forever, so when do you stop? How much is enough? And the real-world answer is, well, it depends. There's no single simple answer here. The amount of testing you need for a simple blog is going to be wildly different from what's needed for, say, airplane flight control software or a banking app. It all comes down to risk. What's the worst that can happen if something goes wrong? That's what tells you how much testing is enough.
But here's the thing. In that constant tug of war between getting a product out the door fast and making sure it's perfect, there's one golden rule. Rushing a broken product to market doesn't help anyone. In the long run, quality isn't just some feature you add on. Quality is the foundation of trust with your users. And that, right there, is what software testing is all about.